everyone, and welcome back to the True to Form podcast. I am your host, Audrey Neff, and I am immensely excited about our guest today, who is Yvonne Dellos. I guess we've actually crossed paths several times over this past summer at several different aesthetic conferences that we were both speaking at. And then we crossed paths again this past weekend at a Benev event. And I believe you said it, but I couldn't agree more, was energies attract. So we're very similar in a lot of ways, it seems. So we're so excited to have her on the True to Form podcast. So she is, a lot of you guys probably actually know her already. She definitely has a big name in the industry, but she's an experienced injector, speaker, trainer. And I love this in your bio, Yvonne, is you write, you're massively obsessed with educating providers entering the medical aesthetic space. So, I mean, that just speaks volumes to the passion that you definitely have, and we'll definitely dive into that. But in the fall of 2015, she started her first med spa, Results Medical Aesthetics and Weight Loss, which she later rebranded and sold to one of her students. That's amazing. In March of 23, she then opened Aesthetic Co. St. George in 2020. She continues to see patients part-time. And then she later actually launched a training school, Medical Aesthetic Art Institute, and was voted Institute of the Year. She also launched Aesthetic ER, a complication course and kit that is now in more than 150 med spas across the country. That's incredible and so needed. And then in August 2022, after accepting a challenge from her life coach, she started the MAAI annual summit. We'll definitely want to talk about that towards the end, as I know it's coming up next year. She is now the aesthetic injector coach. She is also a proud MERS advisory board member, Prolinium speaker and trainer, Mint KOL, Benev KOL, and Candela KOL. And I love this. She loves her 5 a.m. workouts. I am right there on the same page as you. I get up between 4 and 4:30 every morning, so I certainly appreciate that. She has 2 schnauzers, Kira and Suni, and she has her 14-year-old identical twin boys, which is amazing. So this woman is, if this bio didn't speak volumes to just the type of person Yvonne is, I don't know what will. Yvonne, we are so freaking excited to have you on the True to Form podcast. I am so grateful and honored to have you here today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Audrey. I'm happy to be here. And yes, the very first time I saw you on stage, I'm like, that's my girl. I'm like, she's my girl. We're just so much alike. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet you in the past. But I've had my eye on you for a while. And so at Miami, it was a perfect opportunity. As soon as you stepped off that stage, I was right there. I was like, I need to meet her.
I love it. And I'm so glad you did, because just in, the minute that we talked, I definitely felt like you were my kind of people as well. So I love that. And I'm so excited to jump into this episode because I love the topics that you sent over. So in this episode, for those of you guys who are listeners, we usually focus a lot on inner practice workings and things like that. We're actually going to kind of shift gears a little bit, which I'm super excited about. And we're going to talk about some topics that Yvonne sent over that, reading through them, I was like, I am so excited to have this episode with her because these are things that are huge in our industry. So before we jump into those, I know I read your bio, but I think it's always so much more beneficial for our listeners if you can kind of just give a little background, an intro of yourself in your own words and how you kind of landed to where you are at today. And then we'll definitely jump in to some of the topics we have planned.
Yeah, of course. So let's go back to my childhood a little bit. There was a girl that lived across the street from me, and she went to be a nurse. And I thought, well, gosh, I want to be a nurse. And so that was kind of my first thinking of nursing. And then when I was a teenager, I had a female nurse practitioner that would see me for my annual visits. And she just really inspired me. So I give all credits to my NP, Susan Mullman, from my teenage years for being that example to me. I wouldn't be an NP today if it weren't for her. So back to NP, I went to grad school to do reproductive medicine. So I went through nursing, did ER and Instacare, and I was like, no, I just need to keep going. So when my twins turned, oh gosh, they were 9 months when I applied to grad school. I got accepted when they turned 1 in Kentucky. So I've traveled their whole life. But I graduated grad school and went right into reproductive medicine because that's how I got my twins. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I really wanted to have an impact on those women. I understood where they were coming from. I had myself, my pregnancy was quads, and we lost two of the sets. So both of my eggs split. So we had two sets of identical twins. I was pregnant at the same time Octomom was pregnant, so I didn't dare tell anyone I was pregnant with quads. So I lost that set of twins, and then I had a ruptured ectopic that almost took my life when my twins were 4. So I've been through a lot with the reproductive side of things. So I thought that's where I needed to be. And I got into that field and it ended up being quite toxic. And so I was like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me. And so I moved up north, packed my family up. We moved up north to Park City area. And I got a job in aesthetic medicine. And for the first year and a half, I was like, what am I doing? I went to grad school to diagnose, treat, prescribe, and I wasn't doing any of that. And so I kind of questioned if this was the right field. And this was when, in January 2014, when it was still derm and plastics, and we were just barely starting to get outside of that. And so I remember my mom coming to me and saying, my dermatologist said that you're working in a chop shop. Like, this is not okay. And I was like, no, it clearly is okay. We're following the law. We're safe. We're doing, just because we were doing injectables outside of derm and plastics, right?
Yep.
And so after a year and a half of doing that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to spare myself the 1-hour commute through the mountain with my 4-year-old twins, and I'm going to just start my own business. So I launched Results Medical Aesthetics and Weight Loss, and it was REZULTS. And my purpose was I really wanted to give results. Even though I was fairly new at injecting, I was fairly new to the industry, but I have this insatiable drive. It makes a lot of people crazy, but I'm very driven. And so I launched that. It was really successful. And then my father got sick with pancreatic cancer. So I moved back south, back to Vegas. And lo and behold, my patients would not accept that. So for 6 years, I commuted 5 hours
Wow.
every month. Yep. And then I just recently sold that at the first of the year to one of our students. So got into aesthetics. Then, that has done so well. Then all my students I started training for another company. And my students were just like, you should just really do your own, because I was mentoring, which I didn't realize I was mentoring, right? I was just providing more value after the trainings. And so 6 months after working for another company, I'm like, I could do this better, where we add more value, we mentor, we support, we allow them to intern, to shadow. And so I launched Medical Aesthetic Art Institute in 2018. And I wrote, I'm such a visionary and such a manifester. I wrote on a 3x5 card that I would be like the best training and program in the country. Like, that was big, 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 right? I mean, there's so many amazing trainings. But it was so fun to be voted Institute of the Year 3 years in at Aesthetic Next.
Wow.
So grateful for that opportunity. So the school has been extremely successful. And then I've just mentored my students, and they're like, oh, you really should coach us. Like, help me start a bit of business. Help me do this, help me do that. So I launched the Aesthetic Injector coaching, and that's been extremely successful, where now one day is just completely packed with coaching clients. Just at this last event, we're now coaching international because we just brought on a client outside of the country. And last month, our aesthetic ER kits. So again, I saw a need in the industry, took the aesthetic ER kits international. They're in Amsterdam and London now. So that side of the business is growing as well. So lots of things, but I originally just started thinking I was going to do reproductive medicine, and then ended up in this industry, and it's just evolved, and it continues to evolve. And then it was 2.5 years ago, we launched MAAI Summit, which is Medical Aesthetic Art Institute's annual summit in Park City. And that has been extremely successful as well. It's, to me, a family reunion where I get to see all my students. I've trained over 13,000 students, and in the last 6 years. And so it's a family reunion. It's a big party. It's so much fun. And we have the best speakers from all over. I think we're going to have some international speakers this next year. So It's been so much fun. So that's kind of who I am in a nutshell.
I love it. And just hearing your story, and I interview a lot of people, and this is probably one of the coolest stories and backgrounds to hear how where you started back in reproductive medicine. You went through some sad situations, of course, and it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. And to see where you've ended up and just how insanely successful you've become with all of these things, I have the utmost respect for you. I give you all the credit in the world, and I love what you said, that you have this drive that makes people crazy. And I love that. I love meeting people that have ambition and drive. And I think that's something that is so to be respected of, and it's needed in this industry. And so I guess where I want to begin is in terms of, so in this industry, so you said you've trained over 13,000 students. Like, that is a lot. That is so many, given that we're in a really small industry. Our industry of medical aesthetics is very niche. It's very tiny. It's growing exponentially, yes. But the fact that you trained over 13,000, were those primarily all injectors, I assume?
Yeah, yeah. So injectors,
Okay.
and that's not just with Medical Aesthetic Art Institute, that's other training programs in other companies because I speak and
Okay.
train for other companies.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. Got it. But that I mean, still, that number is insane. So something I love about this industry, and this is going to dive us into or bring us into some of the topics that you sent over, which I'm really excited to discuss with you, is something that I am very passionate about this industry, and I know that you are too. Just listening to your background and where your passion lies, is it is a unlike other industries in the world. Predominantly male driven, I would say. And the medical aesthetics industry, something that is so freaking exciting about it is that truly women are fueling growth of the medical aesthetic industry. It's like the most exciting time to be a part of this industry. I mean, it's a wonderful time to just be a part of it, witnessing this growth. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you have to have from a mindset perspective to eventually become successful in it. So one of the topics that you talked or that you sent over was women supporting women. And I love that. And obviously, you've dedicated a lot of your career to that, given that you have a coaching program now. So, beyond the clinical side, obviously, you do clinical training. I would love it if you could talk a little bit about what training you do beyond that, for people that are, whether they're struggling to find success or they just need mentors and coaches along the way. I think it'd be so wonderful to hear what you've kind of been bringing to the industry around that coaching perspective.
Yeah, I think just everything has evolved and I've really tapped into like my purpose and my passion.
Yeah.
So I always say to injectors, you think you're coming to me for Botox and filler training, but you're going to leave with a belief in yourself because I've been able to identify the way someone carries themselves. I can almost see the wheels in their head turning of self-doubt. You
Yeah.
can see it in their posture. You can see it in how they carry themselves. You can see it in their expression. And I am like immediately like, no, we are not having, you did not spend $3,000 to come to my class and do nothing with this skill. I'm going to teach you so well how to utilize this skill and many other skills to put a lot of bread on your table. I want you to be a good mama to your children and provide a
Yeah.
really, really good lifestyle for your family. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I've built all these 5 businesses debt free. They've all been profitable. I'm launching 3 more businesses this next
Wow.
year. And so I created so to talk about some of the classes I teach. So I teach the beginner injector course. So your neurotoxin dermal filler. I do offer advanced, but I've learned I really prefer to only train those that have taken the beginner course with me because when you
Hmm.
come to an advanced course with me, if you didn't have adequate initial training, I have to retrain you.
Right.
So I do the beginner course, I do an advanced, I do private trainings. I've really cut back on the private trainings just because I don't have a lot of time to do that. Then I launched the medical director course and program for the state of Utah, which is now going nationwide. That's my next business. It's called Medical Aesthetic Directors Association, where we have on board as a physician, myself, and an attorney. So you'll see that launch 2024. where we will have ambassadors in every state representing their state and teaching the laws for and how to be a medical director. And that's been, really successful too, because I believe in having multiple streams of revenue. So if I can teach you your beginner injection skill, if I can teach you how to be a medical director, I will send you business because I've trained thousands of students that need medical directors. So I'm going to teach you how to have multiple streams of revenue. I currently have 9 streams of revenue, and I try to teach I'm not like the best, the expert, the everything. I'm just going to teach you what I've done. And so that's what my coaching is. My coaching is I'm going to call you out on your BS. We're going to identify those blind spots, and I'm going to instill in you so much confidence. And Audrey, I will tell you that second, third visit with me, they have their breakthrough and they are on fire. It is the most rewarding. I'm obsessed with what I do. Like, I'm addicted. I witness transformations every single day. And I'm not just coaching injectors. I'm coaching an endocrinologist that is burnt out in this big organization. She wants to go on her own. I helped a cardiology FNP leave her practice. I named her practice and helped her build her own independent practice. I've coached a 55-year-old man that has transformed his body, and I'm coaching him to be a personal coach and meal prep guy. I'm coaching another 50-year-old man how to build a hiking business. So I can help I can monetize anything. I've just learned how to do that and help other people do that. So mindset is everything. 80% of business is psychology. And if you can get your psychology right, there's nothing you can't accomplish. It's just most people don't believe in themselves. Most people stand in their own way. And most people are so dang comfortable and they're so fearful of the unknown that they stay stuck. And so that's what I'm doing is I'm inspiring, I'm empowering, and our tagline is empowered injectors, empower injectors. But Audrey, I do not ever go on stage without recognizing someone else. And most of the time they're women. So the last lecture I did in Las Vegas, it was a lip lecture, and I recognized 3 other women and their product, and I put it in my PowerPoint. I took their samples and I recognized them, and I shared their product with the audience. Like, I'm not up there to talk about me. I'm up there so I can make a difference in this industry. I can make it better by showing up as the best leader I possibly can be. And I'm always going to reach back and pull someone else up. And I'm always going to support those small business owners, those women that are trying to put more bread on their table and have more time with their family.
Wow. And I couldn't agree more with so many things you said. And I thought just while it's still in my head, one of the most recent things you said was, in terms of public speaking, you're not up there to talk about yourself. And I think that is something that a lot of we have tons of incredible speakers in this industry, don't get me wrong, but there are, they're under the impression that they're going to get up there and they're going to talk about themselves. And I love that you go out of your way to really try, and obviously you've been successful at it, make a difference, inspire people, help empower people. I couldn't agree more that 80% of business is psychology. Manifesting is real. I totally agree with that. I think it was so cool how you said, you wrote what you wanted to accomplish with your training institute on a Post-it note, right? And sometimes people are like, oh, manifesting, I'm just going to think about it all the time and it'll just happen. Like, yes, you need to feel like you already have accomplished that, but then you need to go do the work. And I feel like so often people, to accomplish things, you do have to get out of your comfort zone. That's probably the biggest thing I see. And I'm sure that you would agree with it as well. As I understand, leaving the comfort zone is hard. It's difficult. It's challenging. You get into your head, you psych yourself out. You think you can't do it. And really you can. You got to power through whatever feels uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're never going to grow. Like, you have to constantly be uncomfortable with yourself. I also believe that people that have a lot of drive, they always feel like they're behind. Like, they always feel like they could be doing better in at least some way. Like, so I know that's how you feel, given that you said you already started 5 businesses debt free. So that's already a huge accomplishment. And then, you're like, no, I'm going to start 3 more. And now I have 9 streams of revenue. And I mean, these concepts are applicable to any practice as well. But I think it was just so amazing to hear all of these insanely accomplished, milestones that you've reached. And so I guess what we're going to jump into next, because I'm just curious, and I'm so glad that we have you on this podcast. Now, this is probably going to be one of my favorite episodes. So you mentioned how when a lot of people come to you for training, whether it's a advanced training or a beginner training, there's a lot of self-doubt. You help them identify blind spots, and you mentioned on their second or third visit, like there's a breakthrough that you get to witness. So I would love it if we could dive into this. So like, where do you begin in doing this? Like, so you have students that are coming to learn from you and they're unsure about themselves. There is that self-doubt, lack of self-confidence. They don't know what they want to do or if they can do it and things like that. Like, where do you start with that? Like what is step one that you start teaching them?
So I actually have an intake form and I want to know how serious they are. And then I have my staff schedule a call with them and I tell them, my coaching is hard. Okay, I've hired a coach. Now I swear by coaching. So let me just tell you, the first coach I ever hired, I spent $7,500 and I was like, gosh dang, that's a freaking lot of money. Like, I better learn something, And he would do a Zoom call with me and talk to me, but I never really had tactile information. Like,
Yeah.
He would just talk to me, and I was kind of like, oh, I really didn't get much out of that, right? But it was a good experience because I now have stuff to compare it to, right? Then I bit the bullet and I spent $30,000 on my next coach. And I was like, freaking, I have to make money. I went from like 187,000 or something. I'd have to look at my numbers up to 800 and something thousand that year from hiring that coach because she made me do the uncomfortable. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but again, she never gave me homework. She just would listen to me and it's on a phone call. It wasn't even a Zoom. It was just, okay, what are you working on now? But she would help me think differently. And I've had her for over a year. And so when I started my coaching, I'm like, no, I'm going to bust their ass. Like, I'm going to make them do the work. And the work, Audrey, is they have to work on themselves. I see so many injectors out there spending thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm guilty. One year I spent $85,000 in education. They spend so much time on their skill, but they're not spending time on their mindset. If you come from, I'm going to tell you, okay, I came from food stamps and welfare, Audrey. Food stamps and welfare. My parents would steal the groceries because they didn't have the money to feed their kids. Most people don't live like that, okay? When you live like that, you are at rock bottom. There is nothing else but homeless and starvation. I learned that I would never live that life. I knew as a young child that was not going to be my life. And that's where my drive comes from. So when they come to my coaching, I just let them know, look, I'm not here to waste your time, your money, and I'm not here to waste my time. I don't get this time back. I'm going to take you as a client and I'm going to value your time, but I'm obsessed with your success. So if you're not serious about it and you're not going to do the work, this program's not right for you. And I just let them know right out the gate. And then their very first day, like we just designed our very own journal. And every client is now getting this journal because I make them do a lot of journaling. And I will tell you, the reason why they get breakthroughs and transformation is because they're doing the work. They're digging up the past. They're finding those feelings that are haunting them, that they're running from, that they've just buried for years. And when they start addressing the fear and the anxiety and the depression, and they actually have a purpose and a plan, oh my gosh, you should see them light up. They're alive again. They have excitement. They want to get out of bed because now they can actually see it. They can taste it. They can almost touch it. Most of us believe that the gap is so wide from where you stand today to where you want to be. It's not. What makes the gap look deep is your perception. Yeah. Because you perceive everything to be hard. You perceive everything to be so far away. You perceive everything to be expensive. So when people get hung up on money and the price, I'm like, you're missing the point. If you don't take the chance and the risk and bet on you, you're going to be right here a year from now in the exact same spot doing the exact same thing. But when I took that leap and I was like, freaking, this is a lot of money. This could make or break me. Breaking me is not an option.
Yeah.
Making me is my only option because I know food stamps and welfare. I know that life. And that was not going to be my life. I have 5 sisters that still make 30,000 a year, maybe 50,000, you know, and that just was not going to be for me. And I will tell you the most beautiful thing. I think when you get to a certain level of money and you make a certain level of money, it shifts into this spiritual. You're into a purpose. It's more of a spiritual. Money is more of a spiritual thing because now you're like, I have everything I've ever dreamt of, everything I could ever want. We know it's not the material things that make us happy. It's the purpose.
Yep.
I have this insatiable drive because my time is limited on this earth. I know why I'm here. I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to have a massive impact, to inspire, to empower, to help women achieve their life dream, their goals, to live the most beautiful life. Every single day, I thank God for the heartbeat in my chest, for the air in my lungs, that I get to go out with my energy like pixie dust because I'm not poisonous. I'm not going to spread poison and toxicity and gossip and drama because my time is limited. I have to make the best and I have to do my best and make a difference in this world. And so that's where all my passion, my energy, my drive comes from. Because I know I've reached it, I've tapped into it. And so the money, the abundance is the blessing. It comes to you when you're living your higher purpose. So I don't have it's there. Money just constantly flows into my life, but I just do more goodness with it. I don't need to buy more fancy cars and I don't need to buy more. I don't need any of that stuff. I need to be making a difference. I need to be reaching more people's lives. And right now, my current platform is the aesthetic industry.
I feel like you could have been a preacher in another life. Like, I am just like, yes, yes, yes. Like, you're just pumping me up and inspiring me truly right now. And I love, first of all, how transparent and honest you are. And I know our listeners can definitely sense that. And I find so often that the most successful people that I meet along the way, they come from the most humble beginnings. And I think it is so just incredible, truly, to hear where you came from. You didn't want that for yourself. You worked your butt off. I mean, you're a superwoman, like doing all of these things. You have 2 children. Like, I give you just so much credit and respect for you. And the purpose thing, that one really got me because when you have purpose and you have a passion behind something and you become massively obsessed with achieving it, you're so right. Money comes along the way. That's just kind of a bonus. And waking up every day to have that purpose. And I feel like so often when people have a lot of drive and ambition, people, and I'm sure you've probably, gotten it before, is you're a workaholic. You work too hard. You do all these things. Why are you doing this? And I guess coming from those people that don't have a purpose and they don't have what you have, or that drive and that constant ambition, they can't understand in some cases the people that do. I think that's something that a lot of us women, especially, get in the industry from, I don't want to say negative people, but people that just can't comprehend it. Like, you're a workaholic. Why do you work so hard? Like, you're being selfish with your time, all of these things. So I'm curious around, let's say, surrounding yourself with positive, a supportive tribe. Because you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, and to truly become your potential, you need to be surrounding yourself with the right people that are on the same bus as you, going where you want to go, or have already gone where you want to go. So I would love to pick your brain about, like, surrounding yourself with the right people, and how do you respond to the people that maybe come to you and they are lacking that self-doubt, and a lot of times it could be because they're surrounding themselves with the wrong people.
Yeah, this is so good. This is one of my favorite topics, is because I believe in having crucial conversations with everybody, because people do not know how to communicate. They're so fearful of communication. So over the years, I would say I've probably grown the most in the past 3 years. I've been on this growth journey, this spiritual awakening for the past 6 years. But I would say the past 3 years, I've grown leaps and bounds. And the reason why I know that is because so many relationships have fallen away. And I'm telling you, nothing happened. No
Yep.
bad breakup. It was just they just fell out of my life, and I was devastated. I was hurt. Why me? What did I do? And then it dawned on me. It was like this flip of a switch, and it was like, no, Yvonne, they did that. So people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's either you are to teach them something or they are to teach you something. And once that has been accomplished, it's time to move on. And I bless and release and I love and I thank God, life, the universe every day for that special experience with that person. I will never get that again. I will miss them. I have an open door policy. You're always welcome back into my life if your energy is pixie dust. If
Yep.
it's poison, I'm elevated at a higher frequency, a higher level, and you just won't even come in range of me because that's just where I resonate, right? I'm love, I'm enlightenment, I only want goodness in my life. So I've learned over time that I'm going to show up as my best self because for some reason or another, God trusted that this relationship would allow both of us to grow in some way or another. So I'm going to do my part and I'm going to love you hard. But I know my personality. If you've done the DISC assessment, I'm a DI. I have a very, very strong personality. And but I'm fun and I love to have fun and I love to live a big life and I'm loud and I'm open and that's me. If I'm too much for you, honey, that's okay. But I'm not going to
Exactly.
dim my light. I'm not changing
Hmm.
who I am because I love who I am. I've done the work and I love me so much. So to answer your question, it's hard finding people like me, but I prime myself every day. I wake up at 3:45, I meditate, I yoga, I stretch, I journal, I go to the gym, I start my diet with a good diet, and then I listen to good people. Jim Rohn, Oprah Winfrey, Ed Milet, Tom Bilyeu, Jay Shetty, those are my people.
Yep.
They're positive, they're light, they're love, they're passionate. Those are my friends. That's my circle. They don't know that they're my friends, but they are my friends.
Hmm.
So, that's those are my friends. And then those that are true and loyal, I know who they are. And so many of my students have become some of my bestest friends. I have
Yeah.
a mastermind group with three of my students. One of them is the one that bought my med spa. I have another really, really good relationship with another student, and she's the one that wants to buy my school because I already have my exit strategy. Plan to
Yep.
sell the school. And my business partner on this new med spa that we just broke ground on Monday, she's a student of mine. And so I learned from Oprah when people show you who they are the first time, when they show you the first time, believe them
Yep.
because people will repeatedly do and show who they are. And so I just let people show me who they are.
I I just I'm like the just listening to you, we have so many things in common. Ed Milet's one of my favorite people in the entire world. I listen to his podcast all the time when I'm doing cardio at the gym. Um, I have like so many questions for you, and I know we want to be respectful of time, but I think it is so true. You hit the nail on the head. Like the people in your life will literally make or break your success and limit your potential. And I feel like so often, and I hear it a lot from especially people that want to break out and go on their own and they're scared and they have people that are like, why would you take that risk and things like that. And we all like no risk, no reward, cliche statement, but that's the reality of it. And I love how this is something I love about you, Yvonne. So how you said, I'm not going to dim my light. Like you either take me for me or I'm moving on. Like your vibe attracts your tribe. You being your true authentic self is how you're going to attract people that are vibrating at the same frequency as you, and those are the people that God's like, these are the people that need to be in your life. And just like you mentioned, the people that are not supposed to be in your life, and I believe it was you said people come into your life for either a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I thought that was very profound because is that something that you made up yourself actually?
Um, I don't know if I heard that from somewhere, but it's grown because now my
Yeah,
students use it and they added the added the
I love
lifetime, and it's so right. And with that DISC personality assessment, what I learned about myself, the single worst thing you could do to me is use me and take advantage of me. And
it. Yep.
I've had people come into my life that want my life, and they will step on me, they will
Hmm.
use me, and I can see through that. And honey, that's on you. Do you not believe in karma? Because I totally believe in karma.
Yeah.
And if you haven't learned that, you're gonna have a long way down from what you
Yes.
just thought you climbed. You're falling all the way to the bottom and starting over again. Um, so I'm all about, honey, I will push you up. I did that cheerleading in high school, and and you get those people way up there. That's me. I will always be your cheerleader, and I will always put you ahead of me. I will always put you on top because I want you to be better than me.
Hmm.
And that's the beautiful thing about coaching, Audrey, is I have gotten so many people in this amount of time extremely successful in a short period of time because I've
Yeah.
given them what took me 10 years, they've done in 10 months.
Hmm.
Speaking on national stages, making as much money as I do on a stage,
Yeah.
starting their own business and speaking. You know how many students of mine now train for Prolinium?
Wow.
I mean, I have so many students that are now trainers, and we have a beautiful community. I really want you to come. I told you I wanted you to speak at my conference next year. I want you to see for yourself firsthand this beautiful, beautiful community. You will have never experienced so much love. They love hard and they have each other's backs. It's the most beautiful, beautiful community. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it and to witness this. I mean, and I tell them I add it on my PowerPoint, this big long table. I'm like, I built this table and you are all welcome at this table. But always invite someone to come sit with you. Always reach back and bring someone with you. And we will together be changing the world. We are going to change the industry, but we have to change us first.
Hmm.
It starts with us. So we
Yeah.
can't say, oh, point fingers at other people. We can't say, oh, well, they should act more like this and be more. No, it starts with us. Let
Yeah.
us act this way and let's show others how it's done.
Yeah. And first of all, I told you I'm there. And now after this podcast, you can 150 freaking percent, I will be there at your event. I am happy to speak. I am honored for the invitation. Now I'm like even more excited than the last time I talked to you, I think this past Sunday. I am just blown away,
Oh,
is an understatement, truly, throughout this entire conversation. And I, something I think is so cool is how much you're changing people's lives, and it's something that is so needed, especially when it comes to pushing our industry forward too. Like, yes, from people's personal standpoints, do they need this mentoring and coaching from you that's life changing, but also for the industry overall. Like, we're all like it competition, yes, there's competition in the industry, but I really dislike that word. Like,
right. Thank you.
collaborating together, having a strong community. It doesn't matter if you're operating in the same local market as someone, but working together to help out everyone and lift other people up and empower other people and inspire other people to, as you mentioned, get on stages, do speaking, which can be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but it's one of the most incredible experiences ever once you can break through that little bit of uncomfortableness. I'm sure from an entrepreneurial aspect, I'm actually a little curious about this now. Um, I assume a lot of people that come to you and they attend your trainings, you mentioned that, yeah, they're there to advance their clinical skill set. So whether they work in a practice or they're in a transition phase, do a lot of your students actually end up starting their own practices as well and becoming entrepreneurs after leaving, some of the events and going through your coaching?
Yes. And so, yes, I want to answer that in just a minute, but I want to back up really
Yep.
quick. Audrey, if people realize what is meant for you
Yeah.
is always going to be yours, when you know so certainly who you are and that you are on your own life's journey, no one can steal that. No one will ever steal your thunder. No one will ever
Mhm.
steal your reputation. No one will ever steal none of that. So the word competition is not even in my vocabulary. This
Yep.
is mine. You cannot be me. This
Yep.
is my sauce. This is my craziness. This is my big energy. This is me. You will never be me. So I have trained literally my next door neighbor does Botox right next door to me. Do
Yep.
you think I was threatened by that? No, I love and adore her. We have coffee together. We support each other. We build each other's businesses. Honey, she cannot ever be me. So that thing. And then the other thing is when I'm on stage, I have never once been nervous to get on a stage. You know
Yep.
why? It's not about me.
Yeah.
I speak from my heart. I have the hardest time speaking from a PowerPoint. I'm going to pour my heart out to you and I'm going to let you know what is possible. If Yvonne can stand on this stage and I say, I don't care what initials fall behind your name, we all
Mm-hmm.
start from day one. And if
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne can come from food stamps and welfare and stand on this stage making seven
Mm-hmm.
figures plus, so can you. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And then, yes, all my students, majority of them start their own business because I'm obsessed with independence and autonomy. And I
Yep.
want you to live. I want you to create your life by design.
Yep.
I've done that. I do that every day. I built this library in my home so I could do coaching. I just put a pool in my backyard so I can sit in front of my pool and work at my pool. I
Mm-hmm.
travel. I wanted to go to Hawaii. I teach in Hawaii every other month, every 3 months. I have a big community in Hawaii. That is my territory. I dominate that territory. I made it mine. That I designed my life. I'm over my schedule. I'm over my life. I'm in control of my life. I only have myself to blame, but I have a whole lot of people to give credit to helping me get there. Um, so yes, my nurses, if they're a nurse, they hire one of our medical directors because we have a medical director program.
Yep.
And now that medical director program has been so successful, it's going nationwide. So we will now we'll have a database, a directory of medical directors that are properly trained, ethically trained, legally
Mm-hmm.
trained, with excellence. So we really vet those people to make sure that they will be compliant because it's our brand, it's our reputation, and we have a very, very high standard. And we got so many people on board wanting to be a part of this. It all really spurred from me lecturing at Aesthetic Next in Dallas. I did a 2 hour workshop and we had so much interest, ongoing interest. So I just saw Tiffany in Miami and I said, Tiffany, this is what they want. This is what I'm building. She's like, I'll support you, whatever I can do to help you. So here we go. We're going nationwide with with this
Love
business,
it.
this new business. So
So
yeah,
amazing to hear. And first of all, congrats to you on times a million on, first of all, everything you've accomplished, where you're going. You're not stopping. You're going to be someone who's, you already are woven into the fabric of this industry that's helping push it forward and help push everyone forward in their own individual lives too. And I have a question now because this is something that always pops into my head when I talk to people like you. And I guess it all comes down to one word, which is balance. So I'm curious. Obviously, you do all these things. You're running all these businesses. You're a trainer, you're a coach, you're a mentor, you're a speaker, you're a KOL for different companies, entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, like all of these things. So I'm curious what you would, in terms of your experience, people struggle with balance,
yeah,
especially people that have a lot of ambition and goals and they're juggling all these different things. So, and I know that this is a hot topic I talk to people about all the time, is how do you find your work-life balance? I guess I would ask.
I love it because this is huge for me. I've taken the word balance out of my vocabulary. I mean, the only time I use balance is when I'm in yoga, but it still comes back to being centered. It's about being centered, Audrey. Be where your feet are. 100% be very intentional. I pray to the universe daily that I have power of intention, that I'm present, that I make those people in my life at that moment. I will never get that time back. I will never get that experience back. I will never get that moment that, like my pool man today was here. And he doesn't know that he's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. But I know. But if we treated everybody
Mm-hmm.
as if it might be the last, That to me right there. Be centered.
Yeah.
Be where your feet are. Know that every interaction that you have with the outside world, with that, all of that is a direct reflection of your inside world.
Yes.
If you don't like your outside world, change you, and your outside world will change. So there is no balance in life. It's being centered. I go out and ground myself. I walk barefoot in my grass. I
Yes.
take alone time. I do reading time. I light and love. I bless and release. I just really try to call upon life, Mother Earth,
Mm-hmm.
energies of higher frequencies, and I call upon that and give me that strength. Because Audrey, there's nothing more. I want nothing more than to serve and love. I'm a lover of humanity. If you follow my Instagram, that is my tag, a lover of all humanity. I love people and I want to see them happy living. We were meant to come here to have the most amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy into, oh, you were sent here to be tried and tested. And no, you were sent to have expansion, to have opportunity, to love, to be present, to partake of everything this life has to offer. And so I'm gonna live big. I'm gonna touch it all, taste it all. I jumped out of an airplane this year. I went deep sea fishing this year. I'm doing my bucket list. I'm living large. And guess what? I don't have to apologize to anybody for it because I have the money
Mm-hmm.
to do it. I create the time for it
Yeah.
and I bring others along the way. And it's just a beautiful life and it's a beautiful experience. And I literally could die tomorrow and just feel so blessed and so grateful
Yeah.
that I got 46 years in this body to be this person.
Yeah.
And I love her. I love her so much. I love that little girl that I go back to my younger self. And I love her because she had the vision. She
Yeah.
had the dreams. And what makes me sad is my mother never had that. My mother never had that because she didn't believe it was possible for her.
Right.
I want women to know what is possible. We all have a dream in our heart. We have a
Yeah.
calling. We have a higher calling on this life, a purpose. We need to find it and live it.
Yeah. You are just like just listening. I could listen to you honestly for like 5 hours straight. I think like you're one of the most amazing people, and I wholeheartedly mean this, that I've ever spoken to in my entire life. And I wholeheartedly mean that. And just like I cannot wait to go back and listen to this episode because I'm sure I'm obviously like writing notes while we're talking, but I can't wait to go back and re-listen to it when I'm not, doing the interview. And just I know that there's going to be even more things I take away of things I can even do differently in my life. And I just everything you said, and to just reiterate on some points, like I love that you mentioned that the word competition is not in your vocabulary and balance is not, and that it's all about being centered. And I love the way that you put it that way. I've actually never heard it been put that way. And to me, I've thought that was so profound because that just puts a lot of things into perspective. And I know our listeners are going to be listening to this episode and they're going to probably be the next morning when they wake up doing things differently. And I know I am. And that's something I love about this industry, honestly. And I've been in it for almost 10 years now, is going on 9 years, is the people I've met along the way are just haven't continued to inspire me immensely. And that is to certainly be said of you, Yvonne. This has been one of my favorite conversations truly I've ever had on this podcast. So before we come to an end, I know that because we talked about the summit that you are hosting. So I was on the website. Looks like you guys have early bird pricing out. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are listening to this. And if they haven't heard of this event, they're probably like, oh my gosh, I need to freaking go to this event now and meet Yvonne and become a part of this community. Because I know that's how I'm feeling after this episode. So talk a little bit about the summit, when, where, and kind of what to expect and how people can register for next year's event.
Okay, yes. So it's in Park City, Utah, August 23rd, 24th, 25th. We kickstart with a motivational speaker And so it's a nice mix of empowerment, education. So we have 3 tracks. We have business, clinical, and skin. So this will be our first year having estheticians. It will sell out. We only take 150. That's our max. And you want to know why? Is because I want to know every member in my audience. We will never get too big because I want to know you personally. I want to hug you. I want to hear your story. And I want to know how you found us. And because I believe people are drawn to me for a reason. And I want to serve that purpose for them being there. And then this year is also our first family included. So we have a penthouse for the after party, and then we have a penthouse for the kids where we will have nannies playing with them, movie night, a clown, activities, cotton candy, popcorn, snow cones, all the good stuff. And the 2 penthouses are across from each other, so parents don't have to go far. Because I want the spouses, I want it to be like, so many of us speak every weekend, we're away from our families. And I'm like, at least the speakers that travel so much, bring your families. Yeah. Go hiking, go and explore. So on our agenda, there's a whole list of outdoor activities and family things you can do outside of the event. But yeah, so we have workshops, we have, business lectures, we have the motivational speaker. And I mean, this year we had Dr. Jonathan Sykes do a cadaver lecture with a liquid rhino. We had Dr. Stephen Weiner there doing his rejuvenation, Dr. TJ Sy with threads, Dr. JD McCoy with Silfirm, Heather Rippian with Sculptra. I mean, we had amazing speakers. And we already get in international attention. So like I said, we're working on some relationships right now and seeing what fits our budget. And we try to make it very affordable. And so, yes, right now is $828, the early bird special, which will go to the end of the year, and then it will double and be like $1628. So yeah, and it's all held in Park City, and so it's been so much fun every year. And yeah, we'd love to have you. I want you there for sure. And just so
I told you, I'm in.
We're gonna be best friends, girl. We're gonna be best friends.
Yeah.
I just know it.
No, I can sense that, and I love when you meet people and you just instantly have this connection with them, and I so feel that with you. And I'm very grateful that we've crossed paths, and I'm so grateful that we actually actually took time to speak this past Sunday in Miami. I feel like I've known you a lot longer than I have. I thank you times a million for, first of all, carving out the time with how busy you are. I can't even imagine. I am so grateful. This has been an insanely impactful conversation just for me, and I know our listeners are going to feel the exact same way. So other than that, I want to say huge thank you, Yvonne, for coming on the True to Form podcast. I'm so excited to get this released, and I am very excited to continue our friendship and attend your event as well. I'm so excited about it now. So just from the bottom of my heart, really thank you.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be here, and I am so excited to see where things go. And I hope that at least one of your members got something in the message. So yeah.
There's no doubt. A million takeaways, more than that. I promise you that. So thank you once again.